morning, everyone. Welcome to the vlog. I hope your day is starting out amazing. Today is probably the day that I was the most excited about this entire trip because I'm heading over to a good friend of mine, Tom Crutchfield. He has some amazing animals, from albino iguanas to cobras to venomous snakes of all kinds. It's gonna be absolutely epic. So I'm at Tom Crutchfield's, a guy that I've really admired, really a legend in the reptile hobby, been around forever, and this is his kind of farm, you know? And the reason why I'm here is not only to see some amazing animals, but I take a look, he's got all these like iguanas, there's green iguanas and rhino iguanas and all this stuff that's really outdoors. As a matter of fact, take a look over here. This is so freaking cool. These things are amazing. Take a look at these here. These are albino iguanas. Whoo, that thing is gorgeous, isn't it? And of course, these are some little baby rhino iguanas here. Regardless, the thing that I'm here for is to take a look at his collection, not only these cool things, but really his philosophy on how he keeps animals, and in particular venomous animals. The fact that he has this mentality that you basically, you know, in a way gain trust, or you treat them with so much respect that they lose their defensive nature, which makes it much more safe to handle venomous snakes. So we're gonna take a look and see what he's got going on and get a little bit of a handling lesson from a guy that's been doing it for 50 years. All right, so we are in the infamous room that I've been waiting to see. I'm so excited about this. And of course here, look at this. That is one of the animals that I definitely came to see. This is actually the female, and of course the male is the one that I've just been absolutely mesmerized for a long time. And this is Naga here, the male king. Oh, tell you what, king cobras are some of the smartest animals. I mean, you can just take a look at this. Look at her. She is just kind of looking like she wants to figure out how to get to you. I mean, they're just so smart, and just, I mean, you could just see, look. Oh, that is an animal right there. Whew. The heart starts pumping just thinking about that one. Wow, that's so awesome. Before we get going on any venomous stuff, take a look at this albino iguana. This is actually a super crimson albino, and it's absolutely stunning. The albino iguanas are kind of interesting because they seem to be a little bit more mellow than the normal iguanas, because sometimes normal green iguanas can be a little bit kind of crazy, you know what I mean? But the albinos, probably because their eyesight's a little bit weak, they seem to just be a lot more chill, and this thing is truly stunning. Look at that. So what's really interesting is that, you know, basically I'm in this room full of rattlesnakes, and it's pretty much just quiet. There's one little rattle over here somewhere that I'm hearing. I think it's this Baja rattlesnake over here, but regardless, you walk in here, and typically when you walk into a rattlesnake room, I mean, these are little speckled rattlesnakes that are not so little, they're pretty big, and obviously that's not a rattlesnake, that's a mange viper, but here's the Arizona blacks. I mean, typically you're just hearing rattling like crazy. One of the things that I think is really awesome about Tom's place, he really interacts with the animals in a way that he's trying to get them the least stressed out as possible. And in turn, you're really seeing that the animals aren't freaking out when people are around them. So where a rattlesnake is typically gonna rattle its tail because it's, you know, warning you like, stay away, I'm afraid of you, these snakes aren't afraid of people, so they don't rattle, which is unusual. I can honestly say I've never seen an Arizona black that hasn't rattled as soon as you walk up to it. And look at this one, it's just kind of curiously looking at us like, hey, what's up? So it's kind of an interesting concept that he has about these animals, and it's obviously really working. So, Tom, you know, I know that, you know, kind of display to me what your philosophy is here on these animals and how you kind of gain their trust. You know, obviously we talked about the Arizona blacks, and they're usually being a little bit high strung, especially with the rattles, and these guys are totally chill. So I want to grab one out and you can show us how you gain their trust over time.
I think he thinks we might have food for him, so we're going to open it with a snake hook here. He does. See him looking? Now he's going to come over here. Notice he's not rattling. Let's see if I can get him to come over here. Come here. Come here. Come here, buddy. Now let's let him know now that we don't have food. Now he knows that we're not going to feed him. So let's see how he acts. Now see, he's laying on my arm. See all those big rattles there? Notice he's not rattling? That's because he's not afraid of it. Now the female in there, she's not afraid either. She didn't even look or stick her tongue out when I opened the door. When I let him crawl back in, I'm going to be very gentle doing it. I'm not going to let him drop his tail or slap his tail down or anything like that. I'm not going to prod him on the end of the tail and make him go in the cage quicker. I see him coming back. He's still in hopes that I'm going to bring him some food. See? But that's not defensive. That's hunger. But I'm certainly not going to stick my hand up there. See what he's doing? He wants food. You want to try the southwestern speckled rattlesnake?
Yeah, let's get
We'll look at them. And let's get the big male out. This one has a lot of rattles right here. Now, even though these are venomous snakes and they're really, really calm venomous snakes, we still, just because they are venomous snakes doesn't mean that you don't treat them like venomous snakes. And we treat them like venomous snakes here because a bite is potentially lethal. So you want to be very careful how you handle them. But if you notice the way I'm handling this, I'm supporting this snake. I have my hand up underneath it. Notice I'm not grabbing the tail. Notice I don't have the tip of the tail. And notice I have the hook up underneath the head, but close to the head, because I don't want a lot of weight on the snake, either. And that's why I'm holding it up here. Now see, when it comes up like this, I'm going to turn the snake and turn the hook just to make it a little bit easier. And see, even with that jostling and stuff, see how the snake's still
not rattling. Yeah.
Not rattling. Now back up a little bit. We'll put her back into the, and again, we're going to just let him sort of crawl in the cage. And if you don't want to put your hand and hold it, a lot of times I'll just do this and just hold it, the hook under it, so it's easier for the snake. And notice through all this, the female rattlesnake, I don't even think flicked her tongue out. So that's how much interest these snakes have in being afraid of the talking apes, not so much fear.
So basically you guys get the first kind of handling lesson from Tom. He's been handling venomous reptiles for probably 50 plus years. And again, it's a unique idea because a lot of people will be a little bit more abrasive with their handling, and obviously you're kind of creating an environment where the snake is kind of used to being handled that way and is going to react that way. So if you can kind of take away that kind of aggression and handling, the snake doesn't think that it needs to be defensive back. So it's a really interesting thing, and I really think that I enjoyed that lesson for sure. One that I'm going to implement in the future in the way I handle venomous snakes. Again, Tom is really just trying to dissect these animals in the way they think. So these ridge-nosed rattlesnakes, which are Willardi, we're going to go ahead and see if he can get them to come over to kind of the way that they would normally respond to food response, but then he's going to show them that it's not food and see how they handle. So let's go ahead and see what you got going for us here. You can see it immediately. It's like, oh, there's food coming.
How's everything now? Is it okay?
So then basically what you're seeing is that the animal realizes that there's no food and it completely loses that food response. And again, this whole time, you can see it has little buttons down here and it's not rattling whatsoever. It seems completely calm, completely in control. Again, this is just a conditioning response that basically handling an animal over and over again like this, it's going to eventually understand what to expect.
What my plea is for a couple of things with herpers today. What I ask for is to get away from the man versus beast mode of thinking of yourself as being masters of the animals, but rather as one that learns to live with the animals. And if you're going to buy herps to keep in captivity, make sure that you can give it a home for the rest of its life, which means that a very, very large python or a crocodile or a venomous snake of most species are not pets and are not good for everyone. Honestly, I sell green iguanas, albino green iguanas, but they are not good pets except for a temporary, on a short period of time, unless you can give the animal very large quarters, which they need. And I'm just being honest with you, even though I sell them. Because everybody wants a giant python until they actually have one and it's a giant python. Same with an alligator. Everybody wants an alligator until it's like 3 or 4 feet long. It lives 60 years. What do you do with it?
So there you guys have it. That is great advice from a guy that's been doing it a long time. Really one of the pioneers of what the reptile hobby is today. It's interesting. I always say that just because you do something in the past doesn't mean that you can learn and change your perspective. You know, I certainly have bred animals and done things. I used to sell big pythons a long time ago. Not that I'm against it, but I personally don't sell big pythons now because I feel like I've gotten to a position where I don't want to, not everyone should have a big python. So again, you can learn and change. So, you know, I'm sure there were times that Tom did things in the past that he thought I would never do that again. We can change, you know, and certainly over the 50+ years that he has in this hobby, it certainly is amazing to get that type of perspective. So I appreciate his honesty, and I hope you guys have taken something out of that. So have you ever wondered what it would be like to be in a room full of venomous cobras? Well, now you know. This is basically it. And, you know, Tom has got this facility for anti-venin and venom research. So they're actually milking these animals, which is obviously something that's very, very good for the future. But one of the things is when you keep a cobra in something like this, obviously as soon as you open up, it's going to pop up and hood up, and sometimes can be a little bit difficult to get back in the cage. But again, Tom has used his behavioral skills to figure out a technique to get it back in the cage without having to manhandle it and put himself into danger. So let's see what we got here.
Sunset that's really defensive, so we'll see if we can get her to come out and be really defensive. She's called Boop. Boop, come here. I don't know if you can hear me, but there's Boop. She just spit on my. She's about eye level, so hang on now. Back in our
That was great, man. That was absolutely amazing. Not only was it like death defying, even my heart rate was up on that one, but it obviously, you know, that technique that he uses really worked. And basically explain what, you know, you were trying to do there.
Well, basically the cobra is hooded up. I made it be defensive, so it, you know, hooded up out of the box and scared it, which I normally would not do, but sometimes putting them back in, they do that anyway. So rather than having them jump out 2 or 3 times, having to scare them more, if you take your hand up and the cobra's watching your hand, it's afraid. Then all of a sudden, like this, cobra's watching my hand. I put it here, and all of a sudden it's watching me, it's defensive, it's scared, and then it can't see me. So what does the cobra do? It pulls its head down and back in the cage, and it makes it look like I performed a magic trick. I didn't. All I did is understand the cobra's behavior and use it against it.
Haha, there you go. Not that I ever suggest you guys trying that at home, but hey, now you know. Alright, so before we start making our trek to our last destination, we're gonna stop at Ryan's pet shop just to see what it's like, because if I'm here, I gotta check it out. You guys know that I love pet shops like this. This is where I kind of grew up, and you know, trying to find places like this. There was a place local that was called the Tropical Fish Pond. It was the only real local pet shop for reptiles, and it was much like this, and I used to go there every chance I get. So anytime I come into a place like this, I always have a huge smile on my face. So cool. Take a look at this guy right here, that Jackson's chameleon. Oh my gosh. This is a little 4-week-old kinkajou. One of the cutest little things in the world. The thing I love about kinkajous is that they're almost moved in slow motion usually. But it's, look at him smiling for the camera. I absolutely, that is, guys, that is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. What do you guys think? I could spend all night here, but it is about time that I get on the road because we have a couple-hour drive to get near our next destination. So what do you say we hit the road? All right, so we have a 5-hour drive back up into the Orlando area, and I think it's gonna go by just like... Okay, so I am here at the hotel, and I've got to make a confession. And this happens to be something that I've thought about since the day I started vlogging. And I always wondered, what would happen if I get really sick? Well, the confession is, last night I had a really bad flu, didn't sleep, fever, chills, everything else, and I still got up and I did the Tom Crutchfield and Ryan's Pet Shop thing. And to be honest with you, that was one of the reasons why I didn't really want to handle as many venomous snakes, is because I'm feeling really achy and slow and my head's not feeling really good. But I guess I answered my question, what happens if I'm sick? And the answer is really, you just suck it up and you just keep doing it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today, even though I was a little bit off and feeling kind of bad. As for tonight, I'm at the hotel. I'm just gonna get some sleep. I'm gonna try to sleep this off, take some Theraflu, and just hopefully feel better tomorrow, because tomorrow we have a really exciting thing. We're going to the NHRA race, and we're actually gonna be in with the driver, so we're gonna be right down in the pits, and we're gonna show you guys cool access. So I hope you guys will enjoy that. Thank you guys for everything you do for me. Make sure to smash that like button and hit that notification bell, because I sucked it up and was there for you guys today. Make sure to be kind to somebody, and I hope I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow, unless I'm sick still in bed. But no, I'll see you guys tomorrow.